Hey, this is Playboy.com gaming editor Mike Rougeau, and I wanted to make a video showing off what I think is one of the coolest new features and also one of the most poorly explained new features in Fallout 4. It is the ability to build your very own shelter out of whatever parts and objects you want. As you can see, I have a pretty cool shelter here with a jukebox and a bed and a floor safe and a bunch of other junk. If you want to make a shelter, turns out it's really easy, and the game just does a poor job of communicating that. Here's everything you'll need to get started. I chose to build my first shelter at the Red Rocket gas station. It's one of the earliest locations in the game. The other benefit is that it has basically everything that you need already lying around. The trick is in figuring out how to utilize these things. Luckily, it's pretty easy. Basically, you just go into the menu by holding down the touchpad or on an Xbox controller, the back button or the select button. And then all the little junk that you see lying around on the ground, tires, cars, signposts, fences, trees, basically everything that's not nailed down, you can just hit square or X, depending what controller you're using, and you can junk that stuff or scrap it into the raw materials that you need to build. I've sped this up quite a bit so you can see what it looks like, but really it'll only take you a few minutes to get everything you need. Make sure you head inside too and junk all the stuff that's lying around in the building. And make sure that as you're adventuring around the world of the Wasteland, picking up all the crap that the apocalypse left behind, every time you come back to the gas station or wherever you're crafting, you go over to the workbench and you press triangle or Y to store all the junk. That stuff gets automatically converted into raw materials as you need it. Now that you have the raw materials, you can start actually building stuff. You can go into the menu and choose pre-designed structures to place wherever you want, but why settle for that when Fallout 4 gives you all the tools you need to design something yourself? The game lets you build structures bit by bit, so you start with the floor, you do the walls next, and then the ceilings. I started with the floor and just put 4 pieces side by side. And yes, I did eventually come to regret placing my floor where there was grass poking through it, and no, I can't figure out a way to get rid of it. Next comes the walls. This is where things start to get interesting. It gives you a ton of choices, whether you're making it out of wood or metal. I chose wood because I had a lot more wood. Now I know that this is like the apocalypse or whatever, but I figured that doesn't mean that we all have to live in shacks with like huge holes in the walls. So I tried to pick the walls that have the least number of gaps in them. Not that it makes a difference, it's just my own personal preference. Now this was interesting, and it's something that others may run into, but there seem to be places where walls that should fit just won't fit for whatever reason, and I spent a lot longer than I can show here trying to make this wall go here. Eventually I just had to switch to a different type of wall, and it just fit right in. Don't ask me why. This is Fallout. It's Fallout, that's why. Of course some stuff just isn't gonna work. Anyway, you put a door here, you put a wall there, boom, you got a house, cool. Oh wait, no, you need a roof too. Okay, put the roof on, now you have a house. Place a door, enter the door, and then you get to start decorating. So you have a lot of options when it comes to interior decoration. Obviously, you can basically skip this whole part and just put a bed like I did right at the beginning, but if you like fun, then you're gonna wanna do a little bit more. I actually have no idea whether it gives you more things to put around the house as the game goes on, but right at the beginning, you have a ton of options. You have rugs, you have dressers and shelves that go on the walls that stand on the floor. You have, amazingly, paintings of dogs and cats that, this survivor of the vault just kind of pulls out of nowhere. Or maybe you're just doing them like in super fast motion and no one can see. As an aside, I discovered the doghouse partway through this. I put it outside and Dogmeat just like came right over and laid right down in it. What a good boy. Good boy, Dogmeat. Good dog. Anyway, so I eventually started putting electronics in my shelter. That means ceiling light with fan, because it gets hot in the apocalypse, nuclear fallout and stuff. And a jukebox in the corner for when I have parties with Dogmeat and that one guy who I invited to live at my shelter. I'll get to that later. Anyway, so I had to figure out a way to power these things, and since the game wasn't out yet, I couldn't just go on the internet to look it up like you obviously did. So I just started playing around, and I put a generator here, which presented a problem because I couldn't figure out how to connect the generator to the stuff. Hot tip, don't just try to connect a wire directly from a generator to a light. Surprisingly, Actually, not surprisingly, that doesn't actually work. So you go up to the generator, you press triangle or Y depending on what platform you're on, and you have to connect that to a wall switch or maybe some other kind of switch, but I used a wall switch. So you put the switch on the wall, you connect the wire to the switch, and then you don't actually hit the switch, stuff just turns on. Cool, whatever. So lastly, if you look at the menu bar at the top of the screen, you'll see some stats up there, the number of people living there, how happy they are, how much water and food they have, etc. That's all stuff that you can affect by placing various things around your settlement. I put a turret here, don't know how much good it's gonna do, but whatever. And some food I planted over here, and that seemed to do the trick. There's one other interesting thing that I wanted to touch on, and that is supply lines. So shortly after you get this area unlocked, the gas station, you meet this group of people and you take them to a different area, and that becomes your second settlement. They're not very far away, so I couldn't figure out why when I went to the second settlement, I didn't seem to have any of the materials and supplies that I had at the gas station. And so I figured out that you have to open a supply line between the two. You might not be able to do this right away because it requires 6 charisma, but you have to go into the perk tree and unlock the local leader perk, which lets you establish supply lines. Then you have to get a settler at one of your settlements and assign them to supply line duty. This is some guy who I met at one of the first big cities you go to, Diamond City. He seemed pretty sad. He wanted a soda. I said, you know what? Hey, come live with me. Come live at the gas station. So he was just sort of chilling here for a while until I realized that I could actually put him to work and make him do something for once instead of just lying in my bed like a weirdo. So basically you tap R1 or right bump depending on your platform, and it gives you the option menu of your different settlements, and you choose one to send him to, and he'll establish a supply line between those two settlements, so any materials and stuff that you have at one, you have at the other, and it makes it a lot easier to craft at more than one location. So that's pretty much it. You follow these steps, you're gonna have a pretty decent shelter, and you're gonna be well on your way to building up your other settlements, making those settlers happy, and I don't really know what the end goal is, like ruling the desolate, crappy wasteland, I guess. Cool, good luck. So anyway, I put some finishing touches on my house, shut the door, and that is it. Thanks for watching, and enjoy Fallout 4. Hey, this is Mike Rougeau. I'm Playboy.com's gaming editor. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. You'll see more gaming videos over here. If you go down there, that's some more Playboy YouTube channels. Right up here, if you click, it's going to take you to playboy.com/gaming, where you'll see the rest of our gaming coverage. Thanks.